Well, as you know, I can't count, right? I just got a little eager to get right into the topic at hand.
What a debacle of a game that was! Holy shit!
What are you talking about? This is this is what we've been wanting right here, right? This is we're
Oh,
this is us
100%.
not drafting at 16. This is
Yeah.
us
Well,
hopefully drafting closer to 10 or 8.
hence the smile on my face while I call it a debacle.
Yeah. No, there is some definite defensive breakdowns going on tonight.
Oh, without a doubt. Lots of iffy giveaways, blind passes, a couple of them connected, but there was a whole bunch of those Huberto esque passes, from last season and the beginning of this season. Blind, no look passes, but not even from him. It seemed like everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, he can get away with it because he's obviously way better at it. Um, and more so when he has some chemistry with a couple of line mates. But no, it was from top to bottom, right? There was a lot of defensive breakdown, especially in the first 30 minutes of the game. It was, yeah, not their best performance in our own zone, that's for sure.
I totally agree. I'm curious what some of the viewers have to say when some of them start filing in here, but it's it's a heck of a game to file away as a loss and move on to the next one, which will probably also be a loss.
Yeah.
I'm not really like, it's weird that you've got almost a week off in the middle of the
Yeah.
playoff hunt like this. I mean, they give teams a big old break, usually right around the All-Star game and stuff like that. But usually you don't get 4 days off now.
Yeah, the timing is curious, right? Everybody has their little stint where they have that week off. Obviously, I would prefer mid-season over the final. What do we have left? Like 13 games.
Something like that.
Yeah,
it's not looking too hot to get into the playoffs, but I don't think that's what most of us are looking for to begin with. So
no, that number is getting a lot closer. I think I'll say a majority of the fan base is on the side of let's just rebuild this, and not necessarily like full on rebuild for a lot of people. Like, I mean, I'm a tear it down top to bottom guy when it comes to this because I've seen so many decades of this mushy middle that we've been sitting in. So that's where I'm at, where a lot of people are closer to the retool. Obviously getting a couple of decent returns in some of the trades that Craig did early on has kind of changed people's mindset on rebuild versus retool. And I get it. It's, it is what it is. But, I just want this year to draft as high as possible, and potentially next year as well, draft as high as possible, and, see what we can put together for a competitive team once the arena starts filling up.
I totally agree with that. I mean, I'm still team tear it down, but the thing is I just don't see it happening, right? Like, I don't see, even if there was a deal to be had for, Huberto or Anderson or whatever, I just don't see Craig pulling that trigger, because there is still that whole, management and ownership obviously want wins, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, they want wins. And I mean, when you're going through a rebuild, you need to get to the salary floor anyways. I don't mind a guy like Huberto being, still on the team, teaching the young guys how to be a professional and whatnot. He has a good relationship with quite a few players. The relationship between him and Peltz is obviously well noted. Not that they play together or anything like that, but they have a lot of chemistry, on the bench, in the room, that sort of thing. I don't mind if I think a deal for Huberdeau we would end up suffering on that one, because I think you're going to have to add assets to get somebody to take some of that, that 10.5, right?
Oh, I totally agree.
And it's pretty much buyout proof right throughout. So,
well, yeah, it is, and that's the thing about actually Nazem Kadri's is not buyout proof, but I think that's actually not as immovable as we had originally thought, especially at the beginning of the season. And most people don't even want to see him go, right? Like, you and I have our thoughts about Kadri. Obviously, we've talked about it lots on the show. Not the biggest fans of Kadri. I think I'm allowed to say that for you, anyways. But
I'll allow it.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, our lack of centers, guys who can actually take face-offs at NHL caliber. Yeah, it's tough, but it looks like we're stuck with a couple of these guys long term. But also, I think there's something to be said for keeping a couple of them, just for, you can't have all kids. As much as tearing it down sounds fun and all that, if you have all kids with no leadership, then things tend to not progress, and kids tend to not develop as much as you'd like them to, because they don't have anybody around them to show them how to be professionals.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You got to have guys like, Kadri, obviously, and, like a Blake Coleman type, if not Blake Coleman. He seems to have picked up roots in Calgary, obviously, being a Texas kid. He's likely, going to end up there. Can't say likely. He may end up there near the end of his career, especially being South Dallas is, pretty competitive.
Yeah.
At the moment. So who knows where he ends up. But he's a true professional, and those are the types of players you want to be teaching the kids, right?
Yeah.
And
Dallas is a team to look at. Like, they have kids coming through their system, right? Like Logan Stankoven came up and absolutely lit the world on fire for a bit there. They've got Maverick Bork on the way up. Thomas Harley has been playing really well lately, but all that, it's not like they tore it down. They struck gold in one draft where they had a bunch of first round picks. I think they got, what was it, Ottinger, Hintz, and Heiskanen, or something like that. There was 3 of their star players that they got all in the first round of one draft, but they didn't get rid of Ben, and they didn't get rid of Sagan, right? Like, they still have those guys. So it's not like, and like those are expensive players, right? So it's not impossible. In fact, that's a good example of how Sagan and Ben probably helped Hintz and those guys, Robertson, along, right?
Yeah.
So maybe having a Huberdeau and a Kadri or Coleman or whatever around, like having 2 or 3 core players stick around. Yeah. It's not like you can just tear it all to the studs. That doesn't really work.
Yeah, and then obviously there's not enough NHL ready players playing for the Wranglers right now anyway, so
yeah,
you still need to ice a team. So what did you think of Coronado tonight?
I actually thought that was his best game. I know people have been saying that he's been playing really well lately, and I know he's had a couple of good rushes and a couple good chances and stuff throughout the last few couple weeks, or however long he's been up, probably about 2 weeks now. I do think that he's still getting muscled off the puck too easy, but I didn't really notice it this game, and I did notice him make a couple of really nice plays. Not so much scoring opportunities coming from his stick, but more nice passes, which is not really something you hear much about with him. So that was nice to see another element to his game.
Yeah, he was digging hard too in the corners. He had a lot of effort tonight. Not that he's really necessarily been lacking in effort, but I feel like he played a stronger game all around.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah. One of the highlights to an otherwise not a great game.
Yeah. You want to tee off on Wolf or?
I mean, well, I mean, yeah, you can go both ways when it comes to Wolf's game tonight. You know, clearly not one of his stronger performances. It's kind of closer to the Wolf that I've been talking about that we've seen so far at the NHL level.
Yeah.
He didn't look as confident moving side to side like he did in those two games where he really looked good in the last two games, like really good, which is the Wolf that everybody keeps talking about. But I found he didn't seem to have that same movement and the same swagger moving side to side. He got clearly beat on a couple of shots that I don't think he should have. That tip in from Ovechkin, obviously we need a defenseman that's willing to take him. Like there's no reason for him to be standing alone by himself like that, and but beside / in front of the net.
And
I don't really
everybody
give him
says,
that one, but
and everybody says, especially Ovechkin, but like any player,
anybody,
should not.
All you have to do is pass it to the stick and it's going in, right?
Yeah.
That's not how Ovechkin plays. That's not his game, right? He's a shooter. Obviously, those dirty goals need to be dirty. I.e., you need a defenseman to be making your life miserable while you're there. At least make them work for it, right? Like that was way too easy.
Oh, 100%. But I agree. Like Wolf had, I'd say, one he'd really like to have back, one he'd like to have back, and then two that were kind of, oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, and I agree, he didn't look the same as he did the last couple games as far as confidence moving side to side. And I didn't even think it was so much the side to side thing, honestly, for the first 40 minutes. I thought it was he wasn't fighting to see through traffic enough.
Right.
You didn't see, because when Wolf is playing well, you see him crouching down and getting almost even shorter to see around people's legs and through people's legs and stuff like that to track the pucks. So then when he sees it coming, he can move to it. I thought he got back to that in the third period and played a much better game in the third period, but still wasn't his best effort. I mean, those last two games were really good, and then this game here was
yeah. I don't know if the defense was necessarily worse tonight compared to the other two games. I just thought Wolf was a lot better in the two games previous to tonight. He you're all right when he's on and he's doing that crouch, which is a great idea if you're quick enough to get back into position. It's one of those things that kind of worries me a little bit when I watch him, because he's already not taking up enough in the net, in my opinion. So when you crouch down and just expose more of the top end of the net, it's worrisome. But the two games previous, it was working for him. So I'm not sure what changed. I'm not sure where his mindset was, why he wasn't truly or didn't appear to be fighting through those plays. But you're right. I do agree. He didn't make himself available to see what was coming at him.
Yeah, exactly. I think that when he sees shots, he's like almost always going to get to the shot, but he wasn't giving himself, like you said, enough of a chance to actually see the shot today.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was worried about going back down because of, I think he's going, like, even if he played lights out today, I think he's going back down tomorrow morning. Not like, and nothing that he did wrong. Just, he's up on an emergency basis right now because Markstrom's hurt. Markstrom's probably going to come back on Saturday would be my guess. And from all accounts I've heard online, as far as, the Steinbergs and all of those guys have been saying Markstrom's likely back on Saturday. and there's 4 days off, so I don't know what the Wranglers schedule is like. But you actually, so there's I believe a 4 recall rule after the playoffs, or sorry, after the trade deadline. You can only make 4 AHL recalls, and because Wolf is up for an emergency basis, he doesn't count. But once Markstrom comes back, they'll actually have to recall Wolf again if they want to keep him up. So they use one of those recalls. I was listening to the radio today, and that's what the 2 guys on Flamestock were saying. So,
yeah, well, they've got 2 back-to-back home games tomorrow and Wednesday. So,
the Wranglers. So
yeah, so it makes sense to even put him down, even for that reason, if nothing more.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, when you have 3 goalies, up for the team, somebody's going to suffer. So he might as well get the minutes. He might as well play. It's only going to help his development.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be on for the Wranglers playoff, right? Like, it's not like Vladar is going to go down for that or anything like that. It's going to be his net and I'm pretty alone.
I'm pretty sure the Wranglers would rather have Wolf there over Vladar anyways.
Yep. I'd love to have Wolf here instead of Vladar, but here we are.
Alas, here we are. Contracts. They're a killer.
Anyone listening, I'm curious how you guys feel about Wolf's game today and the defensive game of the team today. Let us know in the comments.
So, another stellar performance on the power play by the Flames.
Just brutal. Like, you can see it happening too. Even when they were on the power play, or even when they weren't on the power play, but they had the extra man, and it was a delayed power play, so they had Wolf out of the net, and it was an extra man.
Yeah,
there was 1 guy wrestling in front of the net, and then 5 other guys on the perimeter, and nobody was moving in. They were just passing the puck around the perimeter. It's like, what do you expect? Like, so many different iterations of this team have, and so many different power play coaches. I don't get it.
It really is kind of mind blowing. Yeah, it's mind blowing. We're not doing the drop pass to Johnny Gaudreau to watch him lose it at the line. We're not. There's so many different things we've done in the past that has been frustrating, but for whatever reason, you're right. They refuse to collapse. They refuse to have somebody mucking it up in front of the net and creating that havoc that we truly need on the power play. Let's make their lives miserable. Let's get shots on the net and let's start digging for rebounds. Right? This perimeter passing is just it's getting old.
It's asinine.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we're what 14.7% on the power play.
I don't know what it is, man, but it's just brutal. And I don't know. It's hard to blame Savard. Like, he's not helping, but this is the same thing that we've seen for years. Like, we've had 2 years, I think, on the power play that have been any good in the last 10 years. And that's through many different power play coaches and many different cores of the team and many different people playing with Gaudreau, or whether Gaudreau, Monahan, Gaudreau, Tkachuk, Lindholm, or Huberdeau, Kadri, like whatever. Like, nobody wants to get in front of the net and make anything happen other than Monahan, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. Maybe they all just saw what happened to Monahan from that and said, "Oh, I don't want to miss like 2 years of my prime just because I'm hurt."
Broken wrist, broken hip. It's all. There's a price to pay, but you always find somebody that's willing to do it. The one person that I truly thought would be that guy, and Nazem Kadri, is not the guy. He refuses to go in front of the net. He's the playmaker on the team, and he likes to do laps. Loves doing laps in the offensive zone.
Yeah. Stuck with him too, I think.
It's hard to say, right? I mean, he's a movable asset. He's having a pretty decent year.
He is
You know,
statistically.
yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
that's really all you want out of your veterans. I mean, he's got, what does he have, like 4 years left in his deal?
5. This is only year 2 of a 7-year deal.
Correct. Yeah.
So he's got 5 and a bit left. He's 32, I think, 33 maybe.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's
So you're saying there's a
league
chance.
outlook. What's that?
So you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance. And you know what? I don't think, if Kadri asked for a trade, I don't think, we'd have to pay to get him off the books. We might have to hold some salary, which I doubt Edwards would be cool with. But like maybe if we took a bad contract back, but I don't think we'd have to pay as far as, what we had to do with Monahan, pay a first round pick to get rid of that money. Right. I think we'd actually get assets back for Kadri. If you pick the right team.
Yeah, you definitely have to pick the right team for him for sure. Yeah. And the 7 mil, I think Murray would have an issue doing that for 5 years, retaining salary. That is a long time. But
yeah,
it all depends on the direction that the team's going, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I do think they want to be competitive again in 2 years. No, if it were my choice, I'd probably say 3 or 4, but I think they're pretty dead set on only 2 years of struggling to get back to mediocre and hold steady there.
Right. You know what? There's something to be said. I just don't know what that something is. I still don't get it. Been watching this team since 1980 when they came here, and it was sure exciting for the first decade, and then, man, obviously the 90s were lean, to say the least. Then we have the then the 2000s happened, and then that's where we are now. Just this up and down, this draft at 16, first in the West, followed by not making the playoffs.
Sounds about right.
So many times. Tear it down.
Yeah. I mean, there's a chance, I'd say, if I had to guess, we're probably drafting right around 10 this year. It's hard to say. I wonder what Markstrom's injury is, but it's hard to say how many games he can steal for us, but I don't think it's many more. As much as the team keeps saying, if we win most of our games, we'll get in. I don't know, man. St. Louis, Minnesota, they've been playing pretty well lately. I don't think Vegas is going to drop out, although they could. I saw an Oilers fan in the Flames subreddit today talking about how they want the Flames to knock the Golden Knights out so they don't have to face them. I'm like, let's just skip that.
Right? Yeah, right. Right now we're in a position where, if we're drafting at today's standings, we don't even have the option to move up to get the first overall. We'd be drafting 12th.
Yeah.
So, because it's 10 positions max, right?
Yeah.
So, do better, guys.
So I've got, and obviously neither of us are blaming the refs. Like, the team was bad. The goalie was questionable at best. Mm-hmm. But all that being said, this has to be one of the worst officiated games I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah.
They're all bad, but this one was really bad.
I certainly don't agree on the non-goal call. I mean, I don't know what their reasoning was as far as calling it off. I mean, there was no, there was no contact. I suppose they could make the argument that the net was moved, but I feel like it was moved in a way that made it more difficult to get the puck in. It didn't come off its supports, so it's, I don't know. Unless they're saying they intended to blow the whistle, which is, then they can just do whatever they want at that point.
Well, that's kind of how it is. The refs can do whatever they want. I want to get into something else with the refs doing whatever they want, but let's talk more about that non-goal call, because to me, that was a goal. The only thing I may have seen is like the net wasn't off its moorings, but Kadri had it leant back because he was leaning on the back of the net, and it was maybe the refs thought that the puck wouldn't have gone through if the post was actually down, but the net wasn't off, so it shouldn't have been blown down. And honestly, the puck went through the net, and there was no goalie interference and all that type of shit, right? Like that should have been a good goal, in my opinion.
And it was well before the whistle. Like it wasn't like puck went in and the whistle happened. It was well before the whistle.
And usually the refs will say there was goaltender interference on the play, no goal, or the puck didn't cross the line, no goal, but didn't say anything. They just said no goal. So to me, that just means they had no fucking clue what they were talking about, and they just wanted to pretend like they did. So they stuck with their original theory, which was wrong.
Yeah. That's kind of the more baffling thing, right? Is on ice at the time, I thought, okay, and then when you look at the replay, and it's like, no, that went in way before. Like if they wouldn't have shown a replay, I would have been a-okay with them calling that goal off. But after the replay, I didn't think that was the right call at all. And the fact that they looked at it and then just stubbornness from the refs are like, yep, that was the right call, and away they go.
Yeah,
kind of mind blowing. But
and I know I talk about this all the time, like several times a year. I talk about this on the show, but the refs refusing to drop the puck and then waving people out and controlling not only the pace of play by doing it, but also controlling which player takes the face off by doing it is just getting completely fucking out of hand. Like you can watch it. Both guys are not even moving. They're waiting for the puck to be dropped. The ref puts his hand up to drop the puck and then blows it and says, no, you're out. But the guy didn't fucking move.
Yeah.
Like, come on. You're just slowing the game down for no reason.
Well, when you have that power, some people just go with it.
I know it's a minor thing. A lot of people think it's ridiculous. I complain about that, but I just don't understand why they have to wave somebody out 3 times every other face off. Like, and then when they decide that they fucked up the first time, they're like, okay, well then we'll just wave both of you out next time. It's like, what are you doing? Just drop the puck and get the game going.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you still lose your timeout if you unsuccessfully challenge a call?
Yes.
Okay. So
you lose your timeout and you take a penalty. Okay. So I don't understand. I know where you're going with this. Go on.
I think it's ridiculous that they allow a team to sit there, look at their monitors, delay, then call a timeout to see if they want to make the challenge. I honestly think that if you've used your timeout in any fashion, you shouldn't be allowed to do the challenge.
You should have like 20 seconds from the time the goal is scored until the time the puck is dropped to make that decision. Like 20 seconds max.
I think even if you use your challenge in the first and if you use your timeout in the first and you try and do a challenge in the second or third period, it shouldn't be allowed.
You're not.
Like it's if you don't have it to lose, you shouldn't be allowed to challenge. In my opinion,
you can't.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're not allowed. I mean,
I
know
they
you're not allowed.
literally did it today.
No, they took their timeout.
Exactly.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. They now no longer have a timeout to lose.
Oh, you mean even if they successfully?
No, if they're unsuccessful at it, you're supposed to lose your timeout. They don't have a timeout to lose.
They didn't take another timeout after that.
They took a 30-second timeout while they decided whether or not they're going to challenge the call.
Yeah, that was before, and I agree with you on that. They shouldn't have.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
That's what I'm saying.
Use the timeout, even if it's at the same time.
Yeah,
that
whether
should be it.
100%. Yeah, if whether you
okay,
use
I
it
thought
at the
you
time
meant
or
used another timeout afterwards.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, all I'm saying is, in my opinion, if you don't have a timeout to lose, you should lose the right to challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And since they had taken that timeout, even though it was during the same play, should be no goal. Like it should be no challenge.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
That's fine. Like it's just a ridiculous delay of the game, right?
Yeah. Again, like 20 seconds, maybe 30 in between the time the goal was scored and the horn goes off until the time the puck is dropped. And if you don't know by then,
if
you can't take a timeout in order to use your timeout as collateral. No.
Yeah, no, it's line up for the face-off, and if you want to call them off to make your challenge, fine.
Yeah.
But not just sit there while everybody just stands there and waits for you to look at the monitors, decide if you want to. That's horseshit.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it was a terrible call to challenge that in the first place.
It was a weird one that I'm not even sure what aspect of that play they were trying to challenge. There was nothing there that looked even remote like it should have been called off, in my opinion.
So I had the game on quite low as far as volume is concerned, so I didn't really hear a lot of what was going on. I heard a couple little things. First, I know they did a replay to see if Coronado went offside or the other guy went offside, and that was pretty obviously not offside.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also heard, I think Millen said, was the goalie able to make the save? So maybe they thought somebody interfered, but I didn't see any of that. I didn't.
That's what they're saying, that his stick touched him and he was in the blue paint, but in no way did that impede him from making the save from beside him.
No, not even a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was a dumb thing, but I mean, with the Flames power play, you might as well just challenge because they're not going to score on it. So
good point. Good point.
Trying to save Lindgren's shutout.
I mean, that's pretty. It's pretty early on in the game to be trying to protect a shutout.
He's been really good for the Caps, though. Honestly,
yeah.
Like he stole Kemper's job barely like a couple months ago, and he's ran with it. Kemper's barely had any starts. I managed to trade him in fantasy and pick up Lindgren, but
wait a minute, didn't you trade him to me?
Maybe.
Yeah, thanks. I mean,
you're making the playoffs and I'm not, so
yeah, I guess. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that, by the way. But that's okay. It's another topic altogether. It's because I was playing against guys like Greg.
Yeah.
Greg and Matt.
Bunch of dickheads.
Right.
Well, so let's talk about the signing the Flames sort of didn't make. How fucking embarrassing is that? I don't even remember the guy's name right now. You remember the guy's name?
I don't even remember who it was. I remember I just saw I read it and just like how do you not know that? I mean, is that just a rookie GM mistake, or surely somebody in the room could have went, this can't do that.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I don't know why they weren't. I think it's because he was too old or something. Maybe it had something to do with the whole Makarov situation where you can't be a rookie when you're 25 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't really.
Sam
What's that?
Sam Morton.
Sam Morton. Yeah.
It's 20,
So
25. And I mean, obviously the way they structured the entry level, it didn't work.
it did work.
No, it didn't. You had to be
Oh yeah, I was gonna say
24 or younger, and so they threw it back to them, told them to restructure it as a different entry level. I'm assuming they probably tried to do too many years. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's my guess.
So he would have.
But I don't really know the whole reasoning behind that. I just find it hilarious that the Flames didn't know well enough that they couldn't sign the guy to the contract that they signed him to.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, he seems like he's probably going to be a fine AHLer just looking at his college stats, but I don't know if he's going to do anything for the Flames ever. And I also don't know if they're even going to be able to sign him now. Because as far as I know, they haven't yet. And that was a few hours back. You figure they would have been able to restructure it by now.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll figure something out. I mean, he's certainly not going to be the game breaker the Flames are looking for. He had 34 points in 37 games this year.
He was. They even had him on the radio and had him. He did like a 20-minute long interview there, and then his contract got voided.
There you go. Thanks for your time in the NHL, kid. Sorry.
How embarrassing.
Sorry, the Flames are inexperienced. I apologize.
The Flames are rookies too, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, maybe we should have signed Conroy to an entry level.
We did. It was like a 10-year entry level.
That's fair. Assistant to the GM, Dwight Schrute.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we all like him.
Yeah. You know what? All in all, like, even though that thing kind of fucked up, I've quite enjoyed most of what Conroy's done. I think he's done a pretty damn good job so far, given the hurdles he's had to deal with and given the absolute mess he was handed from Tree Living. I think Craig's done a fairly admirable job. You know, I think that an experienced guy probably would have done a tiny little bit better, but not a crazy, like, you know, nothing would have been crazy.
Well, I mean, he took over the job of somebody that did have a bit of experience, and I feel like Brad would have done a shit ton worse.
Yeah, I agree with that. He wouldn't have made any knee-jerk reactions, and then he would have lost half of them to free agency.
Yep. I feel like at least one of them would have been walking away, and one of them would have been signed.
Yeah.
And we'd still be missing the playoffs.
So I'm going to eat some crow on something, because I've been saying for the last month or two that Shillington has been playing really, really well defensively, but man, he looked fucking terrible today.
Yeah, he struggled.
Yeah, given it was just one game, but
yeah,
I think he's been pretty good generally this season. But
no, he has been, right. He's been, a lot better than years past. That's for sure. Definitely more composed. But yeah, he looked like chicken with his head cut off tonight.
A little bit. He kind of got his ass handed to him by Ovechkin there in the from the first goal, and then he just kind of lost his shit from then.
Yeah. Bahal was the only one that came out looking fairly decent at a +1 at least in the 5-2 loss.
Yeah.
He did have the one assist on that goal as well, which was decent pass over for the contested goal.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, they're going to have to pick it up for next Saturday. Next Saturday against we play in Vancouver, aren't we?
Yeah. For some reason, it's 4 days away, 5 days away, whatever it is. It makes no sense to me, but that's how the schedule is, and I believe it is Vancouver, and then we have a back-to-back over the weekend.
Yeah. So Saturday in Vancouver. So we fly an hour west to overnight to Buffalo. Oh no, that's in Calgary. Never mind. Vancouver and then Calgary. My bad. Yeah, 4 days off to do a back to back. I'm assuming maybe there was something in the schedule that was hindering it, but like as far as the dome, maybe who knows?
Not sure. Well, at least it's not that far away. The back to back, and at least they're not both on in the afternoon like they were last week for some unknown reason.
Yeah,
that was a tough one to handle for me personally, but
I just really dislike afternoon games. It disrupts my weekend.
Yeah.
Saturday hockey is supposed to be played, either at 5 or 8 o'clock, in my opinion. It's been that way since I was a kid. Quit it.
Yep, I agree.
Well, should we leave her there then?
I guess so. It doesn't look like anybody wants to ask us any questions or comment on this shitty game we just watched, but it's kind of crazy how much more interaction there is
After a win.
when we hand Vegas their lunch money. And
that's right.
Yeah.
I guess I'm one of the only excited ones when I see a game like that. Yeah, it looked like shit, but it just means potentially drafting better.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm looking for too, right? Like I don't think there's much of a chance of getting higher than 8th, but if we get 8th or 9th or 10th or something like that, that's a good start, I think. Obviously,
yeah.
a win in the lottery is a lot to ask for and highly doubtful, but it would be nice.
No, even jumping up a few, but in Calgary Flames style, we'd probably finish, 8th, and then after the lottery draft 11th or something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for following, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for tonight. For the few that have, we appreciate all the support. Share us with your friends if you want to, and keep an eye for we'll be doing this again. Till next time, everybody. Go Flames.
Cheers.